2026 Slam Dunk Contest?
Was it Jackson Hayes, Carter Bryant, Keyshawn Johnson, or Jace Richardson?
When it came to updating our most capable SUV, we made every detail, every curve,
Here we go.
goes, will not negotiate with the United States. And he's posted on social media, saying that Donald Trump and the United States were saying that they were having discussions with Secretary of Iran's National Security Council. He was basically the chief negotiator with the United States. The intermediary was the foreign minister of Oman before Donald Trump invaded Iran. So he's a very influential figure in Iran. And he's saying, we are not negotiating with the United States, period, full stop. Sure, if Donald Trump says they want to talk, and I have agreed to talk, we don't want to, is what Larry Johnny's saying. He's saying Donald Trump is a delusional person who suffers from, quote, delusional fantasies. A direct quote from Larry Johnny. He posted it on social media. He goes, Trump plunged the region into chaos with his delusional fantasies and now fears more American troop casualties with his delusional actions. He turned his self-made America First slogan into Israel First and sacrificed American soldiers for Israel's power-hungry ambitions. And with new fabrications, it is once again imposing the cost of assassinating its own character on American soldiers and families. Today, the Iranian nation is defending itself. The armed forces of Iran did not initiate this aggression. That's what Larajani said. I'm going to show you more from Larajani in a little bit, but I want to share this with you as well, because an F-15 came crashing down over Kuwait. Apparently there was a friendly fire incident, but let me show you what it looked like when there was a crash of an F-15 through this friendly fire incident over Kuwait. Now I'll say this, both the pilot and the weapons system officer, the WSO, on board the U.S. Air Force F-15E Strike Eagle that crashed this morning over Kuwait due to friendly fire.
Just because you lost in yourself to say good shot don't mean it's smart to shoot over somebody.
Authorities in Kuwait. Here's an image of that F-15 crashing down. Play this clip.
Are you convinced in that shit you doing right now is basketball? Laying it up on three people? You laying it up on three people. I'm just saying, how do you convince... I'm asking the question. How do you convince yourself that that's real basketball, son? How do you convince yourself that doing all them weak-ass crossovers, trying to lay it up on five people, how do you convince yourself that's real basketball?
Down, play this clip.
Yeah, nobody like reality. It's five people on your team. If it's three niggas holding you, don't that mean somebody open? And if you don't pass it, don't that mean you shitty? It don't matter how many crossovers you do. Don't matter how many niggas you lay it up over. You retarded and you have no basketball IQ. That's just reality. It's just reality, bro. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with reality.
More strokes on Doha, Qatar. More strikes on Manama, the capital of Bahrain. More strikes throughout the region. More strikes in Israel as well. And some of those missiles, those ballistic missiles, have been able to make it through Israel's Iron Dome system. There was some reporting yesterday, which we cautioned against our audience believing, that the French military was going to be lending the Charles de Gaulle aircraft carrier to support the United States mission after Iran struck an Abu Dhabi location where France has a military base. But France made it very clear, actually, we are not sending the Charles de Gaulle aircraft. They said that they will defend their interests if needed, but they are not going to be doing anything offensive as it relates to helping the United States here. And I think they see what's going on throughout the region. And it's not a powder keg. It is a full-fledged cauldron on fire right now. I'm going to do a whole other video on it this morning. But United States embassies throughout the region are being stormed primarily by pro-Ayatollah Shiite militia groups and local groups in the area. I mean, for example, not just the embassies, but like in Erbil, where a United States ammunition factory was destroyed, there were drones from a pro-Iranian militia that shot the American interests in Erbil. It should be noted Iran has a lot of proxies all throughout the region that it has now activated. And if you look at some of these scenes, for example, outside the green zone in Iraq, just take a look at what's going down. Here, play this clip. And I'll share with you as well the Iranian missile scoring a direct hit in Jerusalem last night. Play this for you right here.
Oh my God.
You know, with all this going on, a lot of people are saying, send Barron. Send Barron Trump and Don Jr. and Eric Trump and this whole grifter family, right? This whole grifter Trump family have made so much money selling away America's interests, making quid pro quo deals where our classified information has been given to China, or it's been given to the UAE or the Saudis, or, of course, to Israel. And for Donald Trump to personally enrich himself and his family at the expense of the American people. So, yes, hashtag send Barron, send him to war, right? When Donald Trump gives a press conference yesterday where he's like, many more Americans are going to die. They're going to die, but
you wasn't going to reverse under the real.
That's the way it is. You are a 5-time draft dodger, pretending you had bone spurs, who steals the valor and mocks the valor of our courageous military. And as you've sent them into harm's way by provoking and starting a war in Iran over regime change or something like Venezuela, you have the audacity to say, this is the way it is. Just the way it is, everybody. No, it shouldn't be that way. And no wonder that your support is so low, and only 25 to 27% of Americans
cannot miss open jumpers like that. That's what you're supposed to say.
CENTCOM shared the news that 3 U.S. military service members have been killed in action. As one nation, we grieve for the true American patriots who have made the ultimate sacrifice for our nation, even as we continue the righteous mission for which they gave their lives. We pray for the full recovery of the wounded and send our immense love and eternal gratitude to the families of the fallen. And sadly, there will likely be more. Before it ends, that's the way it is. Likely be more, but we'll do everything possible where that won't be the case.
Now, I mentioned China there for a moment because China is right now condemning the United States invasion of Iran. China helps Iran. China helps Russia. Donald Trump helps China because he's an idiot. And he is in awe of strong men like Xi Jinping and Putin, who Donald Trump wishes he was. So it was announced yesterday, or the New York Times reported, what we predicted was going to happen all along, right? That the Trump administration is now, the regime is officially delaying arms sales to Taiwan, valued at $13 billion that has been approved by Congress. U.S. officials say that Trump wants to ensure a smooth summit with Xi Jinping in April. The U.S. war in Iran also cut into military resources for Asia. So remember, Xi Jinping told Donald Trump, you cannot give that money, you cannot give that aid, you cannot give support to Taiwan. If you want a state visit to China, remember last year when Xi Jinping told Donald Trump, you can't let the president of Taiwan even use the U.S. airspace? Remember how I told you Xi Jinping was testing Trump last year?
We used to be on the same team.
Ban the president of Taiwan from using United States airspace en route to Central America or South America. I said, of course Donald Trump's going to block the billions of dollars in military aid and assistance and weapons to Taiwan. He wouldn't even let the president of Taiwan fly over U.S. airspace. That's how weak and pathetic Donald Trump was to Xi Jinping. Well, now Donald Trump and the State Department have halted all weapon support and halted the $13 billion that were promised to Taiwan.
You've been selling
you can't trust Donald Trump on any deal at all. He will betray you. He is a liar. He is a fraud. He is a felon. He is a sexual predator. And right now, the Epstein war rages on. That's what everybody's calling it now. Operation Epstein Fury. It is interesting. Epstein Files, EF. They call it Epic Fury. It's actually Epstein Fury, or the Jeffrey Epstein War, EF. And I just do think it's notable that when the Trump regime is being exposed in the Epstein Files, that they provoked this war. And Iranian officials are now saying they're covering up the Epstein Files, and this is a war by the Epstein class. That's even what Iran's calling the United States out for. Well, all of this is taking place. Donald Trump's warmonger buddy, Lindsey Graham, was on state regime media. He's saying, time for war with Cuba. Time for war with Cuba. Here's what Graham said. Play this clip.
Is President Trump finished the job that President Reagan failed to do? I am a big admirer of Ronald Reagan, but I'm here to tell you that Donald Trump, in my opinion, is the gold standard for Republicans, maybe any president, when it comes to foreign policy. Maduro, everybody talked about him. Well, Donald Trump's got him in jail. Cuba's next. They're going to fall. This communist dictatorship in Cuba, their days are numbered. The Iranian regime, the mothership of international terrorism, is about to collapse. The captain of the ship, the Ayatollah, is stone cold dead.
And then Lindsey Graham said, Donald Trump is unleashing right now on Hezbollah. They're weak. We got these bastards on the road. This guy's a weird dude, Lindsey Graham, man. Here, play this clip.
Is a place that could be wonderful without Hezbollah. Hezbollah has American blood on its hands. It killed those Marines, 220, 18 sailors in 1983. And Ronald Reagan, the great Ronald Reagan, left and never did a damn thing. Mr. President, unleash the American military with Israel on Hezbollah tonight. Finish these bastards off. They have American blood on their hands, and it shows you how desperate Iran is to have to rely upon Hezbollah. We have a chance here not only to take the mothership of terrorism down, Iran, we also have a chance to eliminate one of the most lethal proxies in the Mideast, Hezbollah. Mr. President, do it and do it now. They're weak. We can take them out, and we should take them out. Between the United States and Israel, we got these bastards on the ropes. Finish them off.
Then he starts to say how much he loves Donald Trump and he admires Donald Trump. Here, play this clip.
Admired you. I never admired you more than I do right now. When it comes to Hezbollah,
what was you niggas doing? I got one that said they passing the ball.
Make sure they pay a price.
Then he says to the American people, you better realize how much safer you are right now, thanks to Donald Trump. It really is what you think? You think we're actually safer right now? I think the opposite. Here, play this clip.
This regime is in its death throes. Finish them off. And to the American people, if you don't think we're safer tonight, you've missed a lot. We're safer tonight, and we're going to be safer tomorrow. And the ultimate safety comes when people in charge of Iran don't want to kill us.
Remember earlier in this video, I said I was going to show you something additional about Ali Larijani, the security chief of Iran. Ali Larijani, this is him on February 12, 2026. Here's how he was describing the negotiations that were taking place with the United States 3 weeks ago. He was the lead negotiator for Iran. Here, play this clip.
Our negotiations are exclusively with the United States. We are not engaged in any talks with Israel. However, Israel has inserted itself into this process with their intent on undermining and sabotaging these negotiations. Israel's strategy is to destabilize the region. They are gambling not only with Iran, but also Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey. Regional leaders should be aware of this. Israel's agenda extends beyond its alleged concerns about Iran. This was evident in their recent act of belligerence against Qatar.
Finally, I want to point out, obviously, futures markets heading into this morning, not good. Dow futures dropped 500 points. U.S. crude oil jumped more than 7%, topping $72 a barrel. And we're going to keep an eye on that today as well. There you have it, folks. I can show you a lot more videos of what's happening in the neighboring regions, and I can show you more of the Israeli strikes in Tehran or blowing up the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps buildings and the local police buildings, and Iran's retaliation. I've showed you a lot of that in the videos yesterday. I'll show more today as we gather more of this video from around the Middle East. But that's what's going on right now, and we will keep you posted every step of the way. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers. Thanks for watching. Be sure to add the Midas Touch podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever.
I guess that's what? How? Base 44. Look, it pulls our expense. The American people also want to know what they're sending their men and women to war for. Is there a concern of this spiraling into a longer war and then one for the chairman of the time?
Did you not hear my remarks? I mean, we're ensuring the mission gets accomplished.
I like how Pete Hegseth blatantly patronizes the reporter and says, "Did you not hear my remarks a moment ago?" No, I heard them. They were just incredibly dumb. Yeah, I heard when you said that we did not start this war, even though we clearly did. All right, our Secretary of Defense, MAGA Pete Hegseth, who just 2 years ago was a weekend Fox News host that Trump used to watch, is currently giving a meltdown of a performance in front of the American people while trying to salvage any PR regarding this war that is breaking out in the Middle East. Donald Trump and Netanyahu unilaterally launched this war through joint coordinated strikes, and through those strikes, they sparked a regional conflict that Iran is not giving up easily. The current updates are that Iran is bombing Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Doha, and about 10 other countries. Some are even allied countries to Iran. Iran doesn't care right now. They are trying to inflict maximum damage on all U.S. air bases and naval bases because essentially the theory is that if they continue to just do weak responses, weak retaliations, the United States will continue to strike every 5 or 6 months. So Iranian officials are saying we have to inflict maximum damage on U.S. soldiers and U.S. bases. And Trump does not know what to do. MAGA Pete Hegseth is desperately trying to put on a performance that masks the sheer panic of this administration. And keep in mind, it's just that. This is a performance coming from Pete Hegseth. Like, watch this first clip in which our Secretary of Defense just lies. This is an Alex Preddy, Renee Good type lie coming from this administration where they're lying to our eyes. He says, "We didn't start this war, but we are finishing it." Like, dude, yes, you did start this war.
Brothers butchered by Iranian-backed roadside bombs and well-armed militias, thousands of our own. We didn't start this war, but under President Trump, we are finishing it. Their war on Americans has become our retribution against their Ayatollah.
You quite literally did start this war. The United States and Israel quite literally did start the war. Even 7 or 8 months ago, we were the ones striking first. Israel pulled us into this, and the reports are that Netanyahu has tried to convince multiple United States presidents to go to war with Iran in this manner, but all of them refused until one dumb enough to do it came along. That is Donald Trump. And now Pete Hegseth is going out there playing defense for him in a very, very embarrassing manner. Make sure you drop a like and double check to make sure you're subscribed to the Adam Mockler feed. We are the hub of punching back against MAGA disinformation every single day. So join the movement below. It means the world. Let's break down and update what's going on the ground. President Trump said to Jonathan Karl last night that the U.S. had identified possible candidates to take over Iran, but they were killed in the initial attack. Lord have mercy, this is mistake after mistake after mistake. Trump said, quote, "The attack was so successful, it knocked out most of the candidates. It's not going to be anybody that we were thinking because they are all dead. Second or third place is dead." A few things are revealed in that. First of all, there was no good plan. They have no plan whatsoever. They were going to replace the supreme leader with his number two, a guy with the same exact ideology. Secondly, this has gone awry every single step of the way. We then get an update about 30 minutes ago from our central command. As of 7:30 a.m. ET, March 2nd, 4 U.S. service members have been killed in action. The fourth service member, who was seriously wounded during Iran's initial attacks, eventually succumbed to their injuries. Just take a step back and realize what's happening here for a second, how unnecessary all of this is, because the regional conflict is unfolding so fast that it's easy to get caught up and read that Hezbollah is now joining the conflict, Iran is retaliating more, Israel is striking more. But if we just take a step back, multiple U.S. service members who are fighting for this country, who are sons and daughters, probably in their 20s, stationed overseas, I'm presuming, had been struck and killed after these missions because the President of the United States and Bibi Netanyahu decided to pull us into another forever war. And now this administration is relentlessly defending it while making mistake after mistake after mistake. Remember, just to recap so far, the administration has given no good reason as to why we are going to war and why service members are dying. Then Pete Hegseth comes out and says, we didn't start this war, but we're going to finish it, even though we literally did start it. Then we learn that the attack killed their number one and number two replacement, and 4 U.S. service members died in the process. Now we're learning, just moments ago, that 3 U.S. members involved in a friendly fire incident in Kuwait. 3 U.S. F-15s were shot down because our ally Kuwait shot them. The pilots are thankfully safe. No one was injured in this, which is genuinely a great thing. But 3 F-15 E-Strike Eagles flying in support of Operation Epic Fury. I can't take this name seriously. It's like Pete Hegseth came up with it with crayons. Operation Epic Fury. It's like a movie. It's awful. During active combat, that included attacks from Iranian aircraft, ballistic missiles, and drones. The U.S. Air Force fighter jets were mistakenly shot down by Kuwaiti air defenses. This is chaos. This is global chaos. None of this is good for Trump. And our military is effectively leaderless because the man who is leading our military is out there melting down like an absolute kid. He says in this clip, this is not a so-called regime change war. But then he says moments later, but the regime did change, and the world is better off for it. Do we even know that yet? I mean, listen, the Supreme Leader was an awful person. Nobody should mourn him, honestly, genuinely. He's an awful person. But we don't even know what the next steps are. We don't know if a vacuum is going to be filled with someone worse. We don't know if a civil war is going to break out. Remember, Gaddafi was killed in Libya on the street, and everyone was like, yes, Gaddafi is awful. I'm so glad he's dead. It's fine. You can think that if you want. But then the country devolved into such a civil war that there are now open-air slave markets in Libya due to this, due to the intervention of the U.S. So the point is, you can't just say 30 hours after it happened and that everybody's better off. We don't know this yet. We genuinely don't know this yet.
Iran was building powerful missiles and drones to create a conventional shield for their nuclear blackmail ambitions. Let me say that again. A conventional shield for their nuclear blackmail ambitions. Our bases, our people, our allies, all in their crosshairs. Iran had a conventional gun to our head as they tried to lie their way to a nuclear bomb. It almost worked under Obama and his terrible deal.
Come on.
But not under this president. Turns out the regime who chanted death to America and death to Israel was gifted death from America.
Who's writing this bullshit?
And death from Israel.
Okay.
This is not a so-called regime change war. But the regime sure did change. And the world is better off for it.
Bro, he's writing one-liners like he's in a Marvel movie, and he can use these quippy lines about regime change and about death. Over 100 schoolgirls died. You shouldn't be joking about bringing death to Iran. First of all, this is despicable. Secondly, he starts off by talking about how they need to destroy nuclear capacities, but about 6 or 7 months ago, this administration said that the nuclear regime of Iran has been obliterated. J.D. Vance, the vice president, said, thanks to President Trump's bold leadership, the Iranian nuclear program has been obliterated and the 12-day war is over. This is a historic moment and a massive step towards lasting peace in the Middle East. This was in June of 2025. That 12-day war is now like 150, like 200 days in. We are now re-sparking it, and it's escalating throughout the region. And the most insane part is, we still don't even know the goal. We don't know why we're over there. Read this. Trump is basically calling up every journalist in his phone to workshop different timelines and goals for his war. In the past 2 days, we have him quoted. He's talking to the Washington Post and saying the aim is, quote, freedom for the people of Iran. Then he told Axios, maybe we can get it to end in 2 or 3 days with a deal. Then remember, Iran rejected a ceasefire deal because, as I said earlier, they want to inflict maximum damage at this point. He then told the New York Times, Trump told the New York Times, it might be 4 to 5 weeks. I have, quote, 3 very good choices who might take control of Iran. He then told ABC News, actually, never mind. We killed those choices that were going to take control. He doesn't sound convinced by any of it. He's throwing spaghetti at the wall. Ultimately, they say, I suspect he wants to say he solved the problem that has vexed every American president since Jimmy Carter, but there's no clear idea what that looks like and no plan for how to get there. There are plenty of possible scenarios in which Trump just could declare victory and then leave the region with an absolute mess, meaning he didn't actually get any victory. That's very Trumpian of him. He's always declaring victory over and over. It's kind of what you see Pete Hegseth do throughout this speech. In this clip, it's going uniquely viral because he says, no stupid rules of engagement, no nation building anymore. It's like, wait a minute. What do you mean no stupid rules of engagement? That you mean the rules and limitations that stop people from executing, massacring, and torturing citizens?
With maximum authorities. No stupid rules of engagement, no nation-building quagmire, no democracy-building exercise, no politically correct wars.
Wait, he kind of slips it in there, but listen, he goes, no stupid rules of engagement. What do you mean by that? What do you mean no stupid rules of engagement?
No stupid rules of engagement, no nation-building quagmire, no democracy-building exercise, no politically correct wars. We fight to win, and we don't waste time or lives. As the president warned, an effort of this scope will include casualties.
Wait, he just said 2 things back to back. We don't waste lives. And then he said the effort of this scope will include casualties. So we're quite literally wasting lives by fighting a Middle East battle that we didn't have to get brought into. I keep calling it unforced error. And people are like, Adam, but this was forced by Donald Trump. And I just mean an unforced error is when you make a mistake that didn't need to be made. You make a self-own. That's what's happening here. We're owning ourselves. It's an error that wasn't forced by Iran. We just walked into it. Trump just walked into this error. And now they're saying no stupid rules of engagement.
War is hell, and always will be. A grateful nation honors the 4 Americans we have lost thus far and those injured.
I'm really sick of Pete Hegseth's jingoistic platitudes. He's not actually saying anything. It's like he asked ChatGPT to come up with a clever quip. And now he's just out there delivering those like it's some stage performance when it's not. This is real life. People are dying and he's melting down out here. Like in this clip, it's just so ridiculous. He tries to debunk this idea that this is going to be another endless war. He says it was swift and quick, but we're just not seeing that anywhere. We're like 40 hours out and U.S. service members are still dying. Right now, as I'm making this video, Hezbollah announced that they are joining the conflict. And Iran and Hezbollah are now teaming up to inflict damage on Israel and the United States. Essentially, they've realized that Israel has protection via the Iron Dome, so what they can do is target the United States. If they twist the arm of Donald Trump, then he will try to run away with his tail tucked between his legs, and that's what he's doing. He asked for a ceasefire yesterday, and Iran shot that down because they're saying, we're not going to do it this way. We're not going to do it your way this time. We now have news also that a Pentagon briefing acknowledged to congressional staff that there was no plan for Iran to strike us first. So they're lying about everything.
To the media outlets and political left screaming endless wars, stop. This is not Iraq. This is not endless. I was there for both. Our generation knows better, and so does this president. He called the last 20 years of nation-building wars dumb, and he's right. This is the opposite.
If it's not endless, what do you call it when J.D. Vance himself said months ago that the 12-day war is over? And now it's 8 months later, and more people are dying from this same exact war with the same country. That sounds pretty endless to me. It sounds like you've pulled us into an endless quagmire where we'll either have to go boots on the ground, we'll have to keep striking them, or we'll have to give something up. We're not in a good position due to the way that our leadership has handled this, and you know that because General Kane came out and was just straight up saying there will be more casualties.
So let me start with a few details.
First, to be clear, as the Secretary said, this is not a single overnight operation. The military objectives that CENTCOM and the Joint Force have been tasked with will take some time to achieve, and in some cases will be difficult and gritty work. We expect to take additional losses, and as always, we will work to minimize U.S. losses. But as the Secretary said, this is major combat operations.
So, I mean, that's insane to me. Is this not just absurd to anybody else? Of course, the tragedy of the death and the scope and the scale of what's happening in the Middle East, the 100 schoolgirls that passed away, this is all just so incredibly sickening. But what I'm baffled by is that for the past 10 to 15 years in U.S. politics, the biggest no-no you could possibly do was injuring any service members as a politician. This became a huge thing in the public eye after we spent decades and trillions of dollars in the Middle East. Politicians sending sons and daughters to war, big no-no. You don't want to do that at all. And for a good reason. It's sickening that people die for just random pointless wars. But Trump has been able to, over the past few days, blatantly, brazenly, and callously kind of brush off the fact that 3, now 4 U.S. service members passed away, and now they're just coming out and saying more will die. There will be more casualties. I mean, I checked my math here, but the No New War administration then getting U.S. service members killed like 7 months before the midterms, while inflation is ravaging us, while none of the actual core problems are solved, and while the Epstein files are being covered up, this seems like it's going to backfire on them horribly. Remember, Trump himself was callous about deaths in a similar way. He announced, sadly, there will likely be more deaths before this ends.
We pray for the full recovery of the wounded and send our immense love and eternal gratitude to the families of the fallen. And sadly, there will likely be more.
This is insane to me. There will likely be more, not because we got attacked or were pulled into some war by enemies, no, because Trump and Netanyahu decided to willingly do this. Then Pete Hegseth begins to panic and snap at the press in a performative and combative way when they ask a very simple question. One of the questions was, hey, will we go boots on the ground? And he gets really pissy. Another reporter asks, is there a concern that this will spiral into a larger, longer war? I'm like, listen, this is such a key question that every American is wondering. Are you guys concerned this will spiral? Listen to the way Hegseth answers this like a baby should.
Secretary Hegseth, and one for Chairman Kane as well. I understand, to your point here, that you don't want to broadcast everything for our adversaries to hear, but the American people also want to know what they're sending their men and women to war for. Is there a concern of this spiraling into a longer war? And then one for the chairman.
I have found the solution to the biggest problem with technology.
A fun and safe way for kids to learn at home.
Smiles Zenby is a kid-safe, easy-to-use tablet that helps elementary kids grow their skills while also having fun.
It does a great job of keeping students engaged and letting them have fun rewards as they go.
Smiles Zenby prioritizes learning by writing. It comes with a dedicated tablet and stylus pen, so it actually feels like writing on paper.
Smiles Zenby also comes in a special...
Did you not hear my remarks? We're ensuring the mission gets accomplished, but we are very clear-eyed, as the president has been, unlike other presidents, about the foolish policies of the past that recklessly pulled us in to things that were not tethered to actual clear objectives. So we know. We have plans, we have generals, we have chairmen, we have commanders, CENTCOM commanders, Admiral...
Oh, good, you have plans and generals. You're so different than the prior administrations. I like how Pete Hegseth blatantly patronizes the reporter and says, did you not hear my remarks a moment ago? No, I heard them. They were just incredibly dumb. Yeah, I heard when you said that we did not start this war, even though we clearly did.
We didn't start this war. But under President Trump, we are finishing it.
Yeah, anybody who heard your remarks is going to leave more confused, not understand what the hell you're saying. In what way did we not start this war? And again, just to recap, 4 U.S. service members dead. In the process, we also killed out the next best candidates to help the country move forward. In the process, 3 of our fighter jets were involved in friendly fire, and everything keeps going wrong for this administration. This brings us back to Pete Hegseth snapping on the media and getting incredibly defensive like he's cornered. He's in no position to patronize or condescend anybody at this point.
The ability that we have over there. I heard the question about 4 weeks. It's the typical NBC sort of gotcha type question. President Trump has all the latitude in the world to talk about how long it may or may not take. 4 weeks, 2 weeks, 6 weeks. It could move up. It could move back.
See, if I don't leave my man, the big dudes just be raping us, bro. Like, I don't know what you want me to do.
Presidents can't quite seem to have the aperture to do. Well, I mean, Joe Biden.
If I help out, we stopped them a couple times, but a couple shots get open too.
Whatsoever. You are quite right about that, Pete Hegseth. And throughout this speech, Hegseth has made it more and more apparent that they don't have a plan, that they're bullshitting their way through
but
this.
If I just stay on 15, bro, they just gonna keep dunking on
this BS. If you appreciate this video, double check to make sure you liked it, and make sure you're subscribed to the Adam Rothbard feed. It means the world. I love you all. Peace out.
God damn.
I'm joined now by Congressman Jamie Raskin. Congressman, thanks for joining me again.
Hey, Brian, good to see you, man.
So there was a moment during the Pam Bondi hearing that really caught everybody's attention. I think this was actually the most viewed after the fact clip during the entire hearing. I'm going to throw that right here on this screen.
The American people need to know this. They are talking about Epstein today. This has been around since the Obama administration. Administration released over 3 million pages of documents, over 3 million, and Donald Trump signed that law to release all of those documents. He is the most transparent president in
we almost
the
out of here.
history. And none of them asked Merrick Garland over the last 4 years one word about Jeffrey Epstein. How ironic is that? You know why? Because Donald Trump, the Dow right now is over.
She said the Dow.
The Dow is over $50,000. I don't know why you're laughing. You're a great stock trader, as I hear, Raskin. The Dow is over 50,000 right now.
So, Congressman, that was Pam Bondi basically crashing out over the fact that people dared ask her questions about Epstein when the Dow was over 50,000, and she actually referred back to you because you were, it seems, rightfully laughing at the fact that Pam Bondi's deflection attempt here was to say that we can't answer any questions about Epstein when the Dow is so high. Can I have your reaction to what it was like when that moment took place?
Well, I warned her before we started in my opening that we were not going to tolerate her changing the subject, filibustering, insulting members, engaging in ad hominem attacks in order to eat up our time. We only get 5 minutes apiece, and we each had about 5 hours of questions for Pam Bondi about all of the corruption and lawlessness engulfing the Department of Justice. So, as you know, as all of America now knows and can see, she didn't answer any of her questions. She dodged pretty much every substantive question there was, certainly from the Democrats and many from the Republicans, including from Thomas Massie. And she would literally just change the subject. So you would ask her about what she's doing to make amends with the Epstein victims whose privacy rights were violated because Pam Bondi published their names, phone numbers, addresses, and private information in the published materials when she was under strict orders to redact all of that. And then she would talk about how great the Dow is. And she's the Attorney General. She's not the governor of the Fed. And, of course, whatever. They don't have anything to do with the economy. Certainly when jobs are being lost, when the economy's crashing, they pretend they have nothing to do with it, but only when it's going up.
And I'm streaming on YouTube if y'all want to go watch yourself play.
Yeah, then I think that she may have gotten her insults mixed up. She arrived with a burn book, I think they call it, with all of the insults compiled for each of the members. And I am not a stock trader. I believe that I have just mutual funds from the days when I was a law professor. So I think she must have confused those with insults she had been preparing for somebody else. But she also did remember to call me, I think, a washed up loser lawyer. I didn't hear that exactly. If I'd heard it, I would have said, no, actually, I'm a washed-up loser law professor. But in any event, she was just filled with insults and complete distractions from what we were there to talk about, the massive invasion of people's civil rights and civil liberties taking place in Minneapolis and around the country, and her outrageous betrayal of all of the Epstein victims and her obstinate refusal to do anything to prosecute the multitude of crimes that are so clearly present there.
And that's a part I want to dig into here, because she said while she was testifying that she would, pleading basically with any survivors or anybody with information to come to the DOJ, that they would welcome these people with open arms. There were an entire row's worth of survivors seated behind her, and when they were asked point blank if the DOJ had reached out to them or even responded to their overtures to the DOJ, that they had all been ignored. And so how do you square those two things when you say out of one side of your mouth that you want that you're seeking out this information that would help get to the bottom of these crimes, but then when you have people who have that information, you basically close your door to them?
Brian, it's perfectly clear to me now that we are living through one of the greatest, if not the greatest, cover-ups of American history. And it goes all the way back to Alex Acosta, who was later made the Secretary of Labor for Donald Trump. But when he was the U.S. Attorney in the Southern District of Florida, there was a 60 federal count indictment ready to go against Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell and other co-conspirators for this massive international child sex trafficking ring. And then suddenly it got thrown overboard for one count of state solicitation to prostitution, with the sweetest of sweetheart plea bargains of all time, where Jeffrey Epstein took 1 year, but it wasn't 1 year in jail or in prison. He was free for 12 hours during the day, and he would go and spend the night down at the county facility, and was free to continue frolicking with all of his criminal games during the daytime. And then meantime, there was a non-prosecution agreement made for a lot of other people who were involved in his orbit. That was the beginning of this outrageous double standard of justice that we've seen for Epstein and what a lot of my colleagues are calling the Epstein class of rich and powerful men who seem to be able to get away with everything. And there were Republicans in there and there were Democrats in there. The difference is the Democrats are saying, let the chips fall where they may. All of those crimes should be identified and prosecuted, and anybody who raped an underage girl should be going to prison. Anybody who participated in human trafficking should be going to prison, regardless of political party. You will never hear the Republicans, except for Thomas Massey and one or two others, say that, because for them, Donald Trump is by definition always innocent, or as he said today, 100% exonerated.
Right. Congressman, have you had the opportunity to go look at, I would say, the unredacted files, but from all of the reporting and everything I've heard from your colleagues, they're largely not unredacted. But have you had the opportunity to go through and look?
Yeah, I think because I'm local here, right near D.C. in Maryland, I think I was the first person to get over there, and I spent 4 or 5 hours there.
So in your time that you've spent looking over these files, did anything strike you? Was there anything that you hadn't known before? Any information that you can share on the existence of co-conspirators?
Well, there are a couple of interesting things that I will share with you, but I do want to start with the big picture here, Brian, which is I want you to think about the various levels of redaction and evasion that are taking place. First of all, there are 6 million documents, and Pam Bondi said, we're just going to show you 3 million. 3 million of the others are duplicative. Well, if they're duplicative, just release them. But in any event, we know they're not duplicative because a number of the victims said they were looking for the memos, the prosecutorial memos of their original victim statements, and they're not in there. So those have been withheld, along with a number of other government documents, including the original trial memorandum that had been written by the Department of Justice. They've suppressed that. So they're hiding a lot of stuff there. So that's the first level. Actually, let me start again. The first level is really everything that's been destroyed. Anything that's been destroyed will just disappear is the first level. Then we've got the stuff that still exists, but they don't want us to see. And so that's part of the 3 million documents. They're not showing us. Then we get to the 3 million documents that they've shown us, but 200,000 pages of those have been partially or completely redacted, entire pages that are just blacked out, deleted out. Okay.